Hello and welcome to the first edition of Dub the Cup here at Stadium Australia. I'm Pokuah Frimpong. I'm lucky enough to be joined by former young Matilda Grace Maher and A-League's commentator Pellizzeri. Big game tomorrow, obviously Australia taking on Ireland. Grace, how are you feeling? What are your thoughts heading into that game?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're about to embark in history. I'm nervous for the girls. I'm sure they're feeling it too. I know myself and a lot of fans can't just wait for kickoff.
I mean, tomorrow night at this time, the concourse is going to be filled with about 80,000 people. We probably won't be able to stand right here, but that atmosphere, that expectation, a World Cup starts in our own country tomorrow. Has it sunk in yet? You've got your tickets, you're ready to go. I know that your mum's got her tickets as well. So what is it going to be like for you and that experience of being out there?
Gosh, I just remember when the World Cup bid was announced and we were at Parliament House, and then we actually got it, and it was, 3 years away. Really cool, really exciting, and we're now sitting on, right the eve of the World Cup, and I know the men's last year, it went so quickly, so savouring every moment. Really can't wait for tomorrow and for this stadium to be packed out with so many excited young fans, and just looking forward to witnessing history and a sold-out crowd.
Now, Grace, you were a star of A-League's All Access during the course of the season. We know you as a fantastic player in the A-Leagues, and you've been both a teammate of and a competitor against many of the Matildas that will be playing. In fact, I think all of them, really. But particularly at young Matildas level, you also came through in the class that had Claire Hunt, Courtney Vine, Alex Chidiac, Claire Wheeler. So there's quite a close connection for you to this team. What does it mean for you personally to see your contemporaries and your young Matildas teammates from your graduating class getting this opportunity on the big stage?
I'm just so proud of them. I genuinely am. I remember, I was really close with all of those girls and spent numerous years going through the highs and lows, and watching them work day in and day out and having those dreams to play at a World Cup like we all do, and for them to about to embark on that journey. When the World Cup squad got announced, and and even with Ellie, who you knew she was going to be there, but I had to send my congratulations and my excitement for them, because it is just incredible, and regardless of whether they're expected to make it or not, they should be so proud of themselves.
Now, Pokuah, take us through the news of the day.
Yeah, well, Tony G, this presser squad locked in. There's no more changes. Kyah, Simon, Tamika Yallop, they're all in. They're in the squad, and I think that was the big thing that everybody was holding their breaths for. Was there going to be any big changes? But Tony G he's all set for that, and he's prepared. He feels like he's talking about his starting 11, and he's almost talking about game changes. But the big story of the day is the 23 is locked in and we're set.
And it's tough for Amy Sayer, because she was the only outfielder that was left training with the group. But I guess maybe under no illusions, certainly Tamika Yallop and the injury she suffered against France kind of dangled the carrot that little bit more. But I think the fact that Kyah Simon was there to begin with means that Kyah Simon was always part of the plan. So I personally wasn't surprised that 8 p.m. came and went without a change to the squad. Did you feel the same?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would have been a massive thing. It had to be a really serious thing for Tamika Yallop or Kyah Simon, those two particularly, for them not to be involved in the squad. And I think it's settled the squad now that we're not going to talk about it and we're going to move on forward from it. Well, at least that's what Tony G wants.
Right, so starting 11. The game against France, obviously there was the halftime sub, Courtney Vine coming on for Mary Fowler, and she was the player that scored the goal, changed the game in that respect. I do think that the amount that Tony Gustafsson talked about game changes and his finishing 11 in today's press conference, really making a point of it, it's something that he's leaned on quite a lot in a lot of his interviews, mainly to do with the clamour for Alex Chidiac, but now it's the clamour for Mary Fowler. So, Pokuah, do you think the Matildas go with the same starting 11 as they did against France? And if there is a change, who do you think it might be?
I think he sticks with the same starting 11 that he has, because I think if we're going to bring Mary Fowler in, we might need to change the formation to play her in her best position. So I think he sticks with that Vine and Rasso on flanking the likes of Gorry and Kyra Cooney-Cross. So I think we keeps the same. But if it is a change, I think Mary Fowler is the obvious one that comes in.
Now, Grace, we were talking off-air about how the formation works when we defend and the formation works when we attack. So give us your player's observation of how you see the Matildas formation, because there's been a lot of talk about the switch to the 4-4-2, but what exactly does that mean when we say that, and what have you observed when you're watching the team?
Yeah, so, we talk about the 4-4-2 in a really obvious way, that when we set up for a defense in a defensive shape, we've got you push forward and bring Vine and Rasso in to protect the space and sit in that. Do they play that attacking? Absolutely not. There's a lot more freedom there. Gorry and Kyah have really been holding in that anchor position and allowing Kerr to go and Caitlin Ford to go where they want, where they need, and then utilising the pace of actually our Steph Catley, Ellie Carpenter, Vine and Rasso. So it's a lot more fluid, and I think when they're playing against teams that they're expected to dominate against, that's a lot more, you see that a lot more, and that that freedom creates a lot of chaos for the opposition, and then their defensive shape is a lot more disciplined, and that's where we talk about that 4-4-2.
All right, well, let's talk about game changers and the concept of having a finishing 11. I must admit, as someone who at times, likes to think about substitutions and decisions being based on game state and game state dictating the decisions that you make, the idea of going in with a preset plan of having certain players that you'll sub on at certain times, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. But is this actually something that's a language semantics that's lost in translation? Is game changes and finishing 11 simply the new term for super sub, or the way that Tony Gustafsson manages the expectations of players in his team that they can get minutes, and if they keep working hard, they will get minutes? Or do you actually think we will actually go into games at this World Cup with preset plans for substitutions regardless of game state?
You never know what's going on in the coach's mind, do you? But I think game changes is another word for super subs. It is a substitution. It is the players that start on the bench and are expected to come on. We have players like Mary Fowler, like your Alex Chidiac that have come on in the past for reasons needing a moment to change because we need to attack. But you also have game-changing players that come on in situations where they change the game because they bring the calmness and they close out games. So depending on how the game goes, Tony is going to have to adjust, and I know he will with all his staff behind him. And the decision will come based on injuries, based on so many unpredictable things, and it won't necessarily just be someone to change the game to win the game, but actually close it out. And if they do go ahead against Ireland, I'm sure you'll see some more defensive and reassuring subs.
Now, Pokuah, do we want to talk about another thing that came up at the press conference, which was Sam Kerr was there too, and was asked about Ireland, the potential to park the bus and defend for their lives, play a 4-5-1 and just try to clamp down and play for a draw, or at least play for a clean sheet. Now, Sam Kerr's response was, we're focused on us. Now, I don't mind that as a theory and a stance, but do you think we're going to run into problems if Ireland can get through the first 10, the first 15, the first 20 without conceding a goal?
I think it can become a problem, but I think Sam obviously said the right answer. It is supposed to be about you. That's what you're supposed to say. But I remember the last time I think the Matildas faced a side that had such a low block was the Philippines, and we did struggle in it. It was a very difficult game for us in the end. I feel like we need to score early because it sets the tone and it gets everybody just a little bit settled and relaxed into this game. The longer it goes without a goal, the more nervous the crowd gets and the more nervous the players naturally get. And the earlier, the better the goal starts, the better the celebrations are for everybody. Isn't that right, Grace?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think we want to start well. I also know that Matildas can finish strong. And they've shown physically that they can, bully teams off the ball, and they did that with France and persisted. They just can't give away those cheap goals because then that's when the panic sets in.
Now, one thing that I believe that the Matildas will score early and can score early through either a kick-off routine or through a similar rush to the first 2 minutes that we saw against France in Melbourne. France were lucky that they didn't concede, and I think Ireland will be doing well to survive the first 2 minutes given the adrenaline that's going to be pumping. But Tony Gustafsson did make the point that his observations of Ireland is that they start strong and that they fade in both the first and the second half. So, Grace, how do you see it? Because if I'm the Ireland captain, I'm practicing my coin tosses and I'm making sure that Australia do not take kickoff. Because I think if Australia take kickoff, we could see a goal in the first 30 seconds of the World Cup tomorrow night.
That's a bold prediction right there. Has anybody got the timer out for Teo?
I think, Ireland are coming into their first ever World Cup, the excitement. I've seen so many Irish fans out there today. They will have a voice at that stadium, and I think absolutely they're going to start strong. The Matildas are going to start strong with just as much excitement. I think it's the team that's going to be able to settle the nerves, and regardless of if goals are scored or not, and then actually start to dominate play, that are going to take this game home. So I do see an early goal coming into play, but I definitely don't see that being the end result.
Now, what about another player that's been a teammate of yours, Kyah Cross? Because when you were at Melbourne Victory, she was there, but I understand that season didn't see much game time, was sort of still at the start of her career. What do you make of Kyah's evolution, the teammate that you played alongside, to the player that tomorrow night is going to play such an important role, being patient with Katrina Gorry if we do have to bide our time to break down the Irish defence?
She's an awesome girl, Kyah. She's a funny character. Probably not the first person the media go to ask questions, but she has blossomed into this player that has been almost a mature player and such a reliable player for such a player at such a young age. And she's also come from this journey of being an attacking player, an individual player, to now a six and someone who's really the gel of the team, and alongside Gorry has worked fantastic. So I've watched her grow, and I've just been so impressed with how she's gone.
Now you are a Canberra girl, and we have to ask about another Canberra native, Claire Hunt. What a story. We're all expecting Claire Hunt to start, regardless of whether it's Claire Polkinghorne or Alana Kennedy that's her centre-back partner, someone who you have had first-hand witness of the struggles that she's had with injury during the younger days of her career, and to think that a moment like this is now less than 24 hours away, it's a phenomenal rise, but it's also, you were there and you saw the beginning of her career. So talk to us about what it means for you to see Claire Hunt sort of realise this part of her career and her journey.
I couldn't be more happy for her. She's always been ready mentally to take that step and to be caught up to the national team. Her body just hasn't allowed her. I was there when she went down and had that horrible scream doing her ACL and the dreaded injury, followed by a few months back to another injury, and it's just been such a journey. And I remember her talking to me, one time about how she's like, one more and I don't know if I can keep coming back. And then she did, and she got injured again. And then she came back and she had a fantastic season, and she's walked into the Matildas team in the most confident manner and is so deserving of that opportunity, and I'm so proud of her.
Pokuah, international media were part of the press conference. We heard a range of accents, and certainly one of them was about expectations. There was mention that Australia has only lost one of their last 10 games. There was also a question to Tony Gustafsson about how a host nation hasn't won since the United States in 1999. What do you make of the outside perception of Australia? Because we live and breathe it. Of course, we both cover the A-Leagues. Grace plays in the A-League, and we know the depth chart. By the way, I'm just going to make an agreement right here. One Holly McNamara reference per episode.
We're good.
Done. We've made it.
We've done it. Checked.
I wish she was in this squad. Where are you, Holly McNamara? I wish you were here. But just one per episode. Now, as far as sort of the outside perception of Australia, though, they are talking about us, the international media, as favourites, as a favourite. And Sam Kerr, cool as you like, did not look flustered one iota about having that word attached to the Matildas. How do you feel when you hear that word attached to the Matildas before a World Cup?
I'm a little bit nervous, but because the Matildas play so well as underdogs in everything, because that's the kind of mentality we have, is that Aussie spirit, Aussie DNA, or whatever you want to call it. But for this team, I think to block out the outside noise is the most important aspect of it. And we've got Sam Kerr. If she's calm, I think the rest of the girls will be calm and settled. If she makes this moment, it's big. She acknowledges it, but she goes, this team, we're ready to go. I think this team is good to go.
Now, Grace, in your A-Leagues All Access, you are a junior coach. You also do a power of work at your junior club, and you are quite hands-on in making sure that your players don't just play, but they follow football as well. For the 10 to 12-year-olds that you coach, what is tomorrow night going to mean for them? Because I can only imagine, when I was, 10, 11, 12, I was still crying when Hawthorn got, knocked out of the finals.
Nobody asked if you're a Hawthorn fan. This is
no Sharon rule. But how do you think those players that you coach are going to be feeling tomorrow? Because that's going to be the grassroots experience for every young player, boy or girl, around the country.
I think I might lose my crown as their favourite player after tomorrow
Oh,
night.
no.
And I think that's deservingly so. No, it's enormous. like the Matildas have been saying, we saw this is their, for those girls, their Kathy Freeman moment. It's now what these young junior boys and girls are going to experience. They won't forget it. It's accessible on TV as well, so everyone, the parents, can flick over to Channel 7. It's something where there's no reason why these people won't be able to see this, and the lead up and the media around it has been incredible to focus on the players too. And yeah, it's just brilliant that they finally get to see it, and it's here. And I know a few of my girls will be at the stadium too tomorrow watching it live.
Now, I'm just going to finish with a couple of stats on the game. In the France game, we had one lateral pass connected in the penalty area. We only completed 5 passes into the box, and the one lateral pass was the assist. How important is it that we actually get in behind Ireland and try to complete more passes than we did against France? Because yes, that one pass against France was the assist for the goal, but there was only one, and we didn't even attempt that many either. So if they are sitting deep, is that a way we can break them down by using our speed to get in behind?
Yeah, but if there's not a lot of space in behind, the speed becomes irrelevant, and it's the finer touches that our midfield can thread a ball through, or the individual talent to take a one-on-one and beat a player. That might be the way you'd break down a block, is actually going through them. But I do think that sometimes those games that are cagey and nerve-wracking because they've got such high stakes result in worldy goals, and those ones that you shoot from distance, the Katrina Gorry goals, that 10 of them go above the goal, one goes in, and no one will ever forget that moment.
Now, my one stat for the day, the referee for the game is Adina Alves Batista of Brazil. She's refereed Australia once. Recently, it was the 4-2 group stage loss at the Olympics to Sweden, and you know what? She gave us a penalty in that game. Sam Kerr just didn't score it.
So we only want the positive vibes, Tara.
That's the positive vibes. We've got a referee who, in her only game refereeing us, gave us a penalty.
Okay,
so
that's all right.
Maybe put that in the memory
You know
bank.
what, Grace? You said something about scoring worldies. Now you're very familiar with scoring worldies in our A-League women's. Are you going to be phoning anybody up, telling them, "Hey guys, this is the trick. This is how you get in the back of the net"?
Oh, if they pick up the phone, I'm happy to do it if they like. But in that moment, I'm sure the girls won't be afraid to have that shot.
Let's bring it home with some rapid-fire predictions for the tournament. Grace, you can join in. Pokuah Frimpong,
Yep.
Golden Boot.
Alexandra Pop.
All right.
I know it's boring, but she's fantastic.
Well, I think that USA versus Vietnam will give us our Golden Boot winner, and it'll be Alex Morgan by default. Grace, who are you picking?
I'm going with another US with a bit of the same regard, and I'm picking Sophia Smith, scoring for fun in the WSL. Bring it in here.
Player of the tournament, Pokuah?
Player of the tournament, Lena Oberdorf.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe I'm
Germany's
giving
Lena Oberdorf?
Yes,
Yep.
maybe I'm giving it away that I think the Germans have something special for this tournament.
All right, I'm choosing Spain. I'm going with Aitana Bonmatí. Best player in the Champions League. I think she'll be the best player in the World Cup. Grace Maher, who are you picking?
If they can go further than the group stage, Linda Caicedo from Colombia is an incredible player that will light up the stage. So.
Yes.
What a pick.
See
There we go.
Grace,
This
come
is
on.
why
You
we get
see?
the current A-League
No,
women's
hey,
players
this
on,
is
because
why
they've got the knowledge.
They spice it up because we're too basic here. Grace is giving us the spice.
All right, how far does Australia go? I've put my prediction out on my Twitter. I'm saying we win our group, we beat England, but we go out in the quarterfinal. Hervé Renard, the Chad, gets his revenge. Pokuah?
See, I don't have us winning the group. I've got us coming second, but I do have us beating the English. So
There we go.
we've got the quarterfinals. I feel good about that.
Grace, how far?
Yeah, I'm picking quarterfinals too. I think the position in the group is going to dictate that, and finishing second is going to see us a lot harder. But we also love an underdog. So.
All right, last prediction, World Cup winner. I think I'm an optimist, and I think that a bit like Spain winning Euro 2008 in the men's, revolutionised men's football, I think that the Spanish women will revolutionise football, and they will leave Australia with the trophy. Pokuah, who are you picking?
That's a good pick, Teo. But I'm going to go with the Germans. They're so solid. They've got all the systems down packed, and they're the Germans. They always get far in the competition.
It's 11 versus 11, and the
you know
Germans
what,
win,
Teo?
Pokuah. That quote was around before you were even born.
See, you know what, you said that quote, and I don't even know where the quote's from. But the Germans, they're my pick.
Well, it's hard to go past the US, but I'm actually going to go with England. I think it's a bit of a basic pick, but the experience that they've had leading up to this tournament, the professionalism that's come in the local competitions. I just see them having that cutting edge to take it all the way.
Now, Grace, your eyes lit up when we talked about some of the other A-League women's players that are going to be joining us on Dove at the Cup. We won't spoil it, but we'll have current A-League women's players, coaches, and also former and current Matildas joining us every day of the World Cup. Pokuah, how can people find our podcast and the media?
Well, join us on KEEPUP's YouTube page every day of the Cup. And Dub of the Cup here will be at different locations as well, which will change up the vibe as well. But Dub of the Cup tomorrow, we're going to be 11 o'clock after the game, and we'll have all the reactions and all the news straight after the game.